chili is simply fantastic. I can smell it from here. This stuff is terrible. Sir, they've changed the recipe for the chili.
The thing was like green. I slammed the thing down. She came in. She's like, "You gonna get a plate?" I go, "Mitz, what is this?" And she goes, "That's spaghetti and clam sauce. But I tried a new recipe. I put curry in it." I fucking took my hat, put it on, and walked out of it. And I didn't talk to her for probably 2 years after that. That's how serious I am, that she insulted.
Welcome back to They Changed the Recipe. This is part 2. There's many parts to this, where we look back at the nostalgia of what we used to taste, what we used to like, and then they changed it for some reason. And tonight's culprit is McDonald's. I'm looking at a 4-part series for McDonald's. There's about 4 things that I can recall that they changed. There's a 5th thing, but it doesn't matter. We'll talk about that at the end. But we'll divide this into 4 parts, because there was 4 things about McDonald's that they terribly changed. And I'm like, well, why did they do that? Why did they need to do that? They didn't need to do that, actually. So tonight we'll cover the apple and cherry pies. Those are great pies, right? Now, they used to have apple and cherry. Then they reduced it to apple. And this was what I was used to, the crispy pie, that crispy apple pie. And then for some strange reason, they changed it to baked pie. And I think they brought back cherry, and then they had like a blueberry or boysenberry for the holiday season. They had like a cream pie. But I always go to apple, but not baked. I don't know what it was with baked. They had a touch of cinnamon, which you don't need the cinnamon. You don't need the fucking cinnamon. I remember when I was a kid that the top of the apple the hot apple would hit the roof of your mouth, and you would just bite into the crisp, that sort of egg roll feel, that egg roll texture, right? The baked pie would just rob you of all that. So I'll do a little bit of reading. It's reading time. History of McDonald's apple pie. The history of the apple pie goes all the way back to the 1960s and has had a ton of changes and updates over the years, from fried to baked and ingredient upgrades. These aren't the same pies as the originals. In this article, we'll talk about everything from the that's happened since. So, golden apple. Next to the apple pie, there's another classic symbol that McDonald's started in 1948. Started by the McDonald brothers. So they had the apple pie in the late 60s. But this is not the one that I grew up on. This is when I was like in my late teens, early 20s. And I think the whole thing started in the 90s. Just that whole baked concept. 20 years after they started their business with burgers and French fries, McDonald's was on the search for a dessert to add to the menu. While they tried different desserts over the years, nothing quite stuck. Moreover, nothing seemed to fit the all-American feel and menu of McDonald's. However, in 1960, that changed when the franchise owner in Tennessee started experimenting with desserts at his location in Knoxville. Lyndon Cochran started the offer to offer mini home-cooked apple pies at his restaurant. Can you do that? Well, back then, I bet you could just fuck with anything, fuck with the company and stuff like that. Who's going to say anything? These handheld delicious pies were based on the homemade apple pies his mother used to make him after school, right down to frying each little handheld pie to a perfect bubbly golden brown. Served in a little cardboard pouch, this dessert became a favorite in Knoxville. The success of these pies in Knoxville eventually caught the attention of Ray Kroc. You know who Ray Kroc is? Not Michael Keaton, but the real guy who spearheaded all of McDonald's. Seeing the success Knoxville had seen for 8 years with these pies, Kroc added them to the menu in 1968. The switch from fried to baked apple pies. Here we go. 92. Holy shit. 1992. So if you decide to try an apple pie today, you will unfortunately not be biting into the golden crispy outside of a fried apple pie, because that was in the change of 92. And I'll tell you, there was an exception to this rule, and I don't know if the exception still works. In 1992, McDonald's switched from frying their apple pies to baking them, unfortunately not with a lot of success. While the restaurant maintained most of the original recipe, the switch from frying to baking resulted in a loss of flavor and texture. While people still enjoy ordering an apple pie from McDonald's, it does not have the same bold bite compared to the apple pies of the 70s to 80s. They switched over, let's see. With the rise of diet foods and low-fat options in the 90s, some believe it was an attempt to appeal to new cultures of low-fat foods. Some are not convinced that this was the reason, since the baked version is not substantially healthier than the fried one. Another theory is that McDonald's is trying to avoid a lawsuit. Part of the delicious factor of the fried pie was the hot, bubbly center. I love that hot, bubbly center. However, that hot, bubbly apple center was also a liability. The idea is that the restaurant was afraid someone may burn themselves and try to sue the company. Why don't you just put, here's an idea, just put on the box, we are not responsible for you burning your mouth. And solve the problem. See, there you go. I just solved the issue. While the restaurant was not provided an exact reason, they have held strong to their decision despite several petitions over the years. McDonald's has stuck with the baked version, even if it is less popular than the original apple pie. More modern updates. So I know there were changes. There were so many changes. Although nothing quite as drastic as the switch from fried to baked, there have been some similar updates to the pies over the years. The pie got an update. One of the key changes was moving from chopped apples to sliced apples. Okay. I mean, some people don't have good teeth, so you might have to rethink that. In addition, a decorative lettuce was added to the pie top. This introduced a more visually appealing pie. Another change took place shortly after in 2018. However, this was aimed at appealing to health rather than visual appeal. From 2018, the 2018 changes included a switch to real butter, less sugar, and extra cinnamon. How about more sugar, please? Just put real sugar. I remember when I worked at Universal, they had cookies, and I said, "How come those cookies never rot?" Because they had real sugar in them. They never get stale. That's interesting. All efforts to appeal to more health-conscious customers and to bring back a more homemade taste. This recipe also includes the use of 6 different apples: Fuji, Golden Delicious, Jonagold, Rome, Gala, and Ida Red. When you have an apple pie at McDonald's today, you are biting into the newest version that was introduced in 2018. The apple pie established as the main dessert. There have been room for McDonald's to explore adding other desserts over the years. The restaurant added cherry pie. They took away cherry pie for a while. I know they did. It is no longer a staple on the menu. Keep an eye out if you try a new McDonald's location, though since some franchise stores around the country still carry cherry, you have to find that cherry pie. And in addition to cherry pie, McDonald's explored adding seasonal. So the blueberry pumpkin, I know those were holiday ones. Don't know what you would do for St. Patrick's Day. You have the St. Patrick's the Shamrock Shake. You have to have the Shamrock Shake. That's something that McDonald's always does. In addition to the favorite flavors of the United States, the restaurant adds specialty pie flavors for a global market. They probably had cat flavor too. Regardless of what pie flavor, the one pie, apple pie will always be the thing. It will remain a staple of the restaurant, an icon of one of America's favorite desserts. If you go on Bing and type, or you can type Google, and you type in McDonald's apple pie, you got copycat McDonald's apple pie. This is a recipe. Here you can make your own fried apple pie. This is your own fried apple pie. It's this fried apple pie is insane and easy. Copycat recipes, but you gotta have that. You gotta have that crispy feel. How to make copycat McDonald's apple pie. So I think the lesson is that people will find a way to make their own shit at home. They don't have to go out there and go get the stuff. Life finds a way, as Jeff Goldblum once said in Jurassic Park. Yeah, I mean, I missed the original recipe. I think they kind of fluctuate. Now, where I worked at Speedy's, the McDonald's in Downey. Okay, a lot of people have moved out. A lot of administration's gone, so they won't remember me anyway. But I worked at Speedy's, and they used to always serve that crispy apple pie. And I got to taste it again in 2006 or so. But all I see are fucking fried apple pies. Very weak sauce, as they say. Yeah, it's not my thing. Yeah, so just, yeah, there are ways to do these things. There are ways to do these things. But they don't want to get sued at any time. It's just, hey, I guess, Pioneer could serve it, whatever. I mean, apple pie with your chicken, that's not too bad. So that's it for, they changed the recipe. We'll do another McDonald's spot in a couple of days. Goth Metal Lore returns on Monday or Tuesday, actually. And I got to do another video tomorrow night. Keep hunting for those apple pies. Speedy's has it. If a Speedy doesn't have it, make your own. There's copycat recipes.